Welcome students, today we are going to study the Delhi Sultan's History chapter 3. In chapter 2nd, we saw that regions like the Kaveri Delta became the center of large kingdoms, but there was no mention of a kingdom with Delhi as its capital because Delhi became an important city only in 12th century. So let's talk about Delhi. Delhi became capital under Tomara Rajputs. Delhi first became capital under Tomara Rajputs, but these Tomara Rajputs were defeated by Chauhana dynasty. Delhi became important commercial center under Rajputs and Chauhanas. Now here commercial center, business and trading center became important under Rajputs and Chauhanas. Many rich Jaina merchants lived there. Cause of that also Delhi became important trading activities center. Many temples were constructed. So the devotees also gathered over there. Coins were minted called Delibal. Many new cities built around like Siri, Jahapana, Delia, Gona. And in that way, after 12th century, Delhi became one of the important political as well as commercial town. The rulers of Delhi. Many rulers they ruled on Delhi. Here, first Rajput dynasties, then Chauhanas, early Turkish rulers, also called as slave dynasty, then Khalji dynasty, Tughlaq dynasty, Sayyid and Lodi dynasty. And in that, after the Lodi dynasty, the Delhi Sultans came to an end and the Mughal dynasty established. Now, the Delhi Sultans. In sources of information about Delhi Sultans, we will study about Delhi Sultans, how they ruled, what type of administration they did. But how we come to know what they have done, how they have done. So, with the help of some of the sources, ways, methods, here with the help of some of the coins, inscriptions, architecture, Tariq or Tawarik. Now here see Tariq. Tariq is a Persian word and which means history. If any one sultan history, then that is called as Tariq. When many sultans histories means Tawarik. So Tawarik is plural of Tariq word. So with the help of these sources of history, we get information about Delhi Sultans. Now what is Tariq? Once again see, chronicles written by scribes were called as chronicles. Sequence-wise, date-wise account written by scribes were called as Tariq or Tawarik. Origin of the term. Tariq is an Arabic word meaning history. Language. Now these tariqs were written by scribes, but in which language? It is written in Persian language because Persian language was the language of administration in the Delhi Sultanate. Like Indian government, administration language is Hindi. Like that, Delhi Sultan's administration language was Persian. So the documents, histories were written in Persian language. Now about the authors of these tariqs or tawarik. The authors of these tariqs or tawariks were learned men, learned scholar men. Especially they were secretaries of sultans, administrators, poets and courtiers. They were writing tariq or tawarik. Now what type of life of these authors, where they were living? So especially they were living in cities and they were writing histories for the sultans. But why they were writing histories for the sultans? Many a times their intention behind that, rich rewards. To get rich rewards. In last year we studied about Prashastis. Prashastis were written by Brahmanas. Also they were expecting rewards from rulers. Like that, these tarikhs or tawarikhs were also written by authors and they were also expecting some rewards. Advice. Now these authors, they were many times they were giving advices also to the rulers, how to rule, just to rule, the need to preserve ideal social order. The rulers or the sultan, they born to just to rule. According to them, an ideal social order was based on birthright and gender distinctions. Very important terms these two, birthright and gender distinctions. Birthright, we can see certain rules and laws must be abided. And gender distinctions means in this, social and biological differences between women and men. Usually to argue that men are superior than the women. Now here very important the history's source, that is manuscripts. So here 4 stages in making of a manuscript. In these images you can see first image. In this you can see various images like the man, he is preparing the paper for making manuscripts. Second, writing the paper, writing on the paper means writing the text on the paper. Then the third image which shows melting gold to highlight important words and messages. And in the fourth image, the man is preparing the binding. In that way, these are the stages in making a manuscript. And manuscript means something which is written by hand. Now in this very important, one of the Muslim ruler, Razia Sultana. Razia, she was the daughter of Sultan Iltutmish from the slave dynasty, Turkish dynasty. Became the Delhi Sultan of Delhi in the year 1236. But there was gender distinctions. She was dethroned. Dethroned means removed from the throne only in 1240. Means just only 4 years she ruled on Delhi Sultanate because of for being a woman, and was unacceptable to the nobles, courtiers. Even a famous chronicler of the age, Minhaj-e-Siraj. You have to remember, famous chronicler Minhaj-e-Siraj recognized her as more able than all her brothers. Minhaj-e-Siraj chronicler, what he stated that Razia Sultana was more capable than her all brothers, but was not comfortable with her only for her being a lady. Cause of a lady, even a famous chronicler of that age, Minhaj-e-Siraj, was not comfortable because she was a lady. In that way, Razia Sultana, she ruled 1236 to 1240, means just 4 years she ruled, and she became first ruler, Muslim ruler who ruled on Delhi Sultanate. From garrison town to empire, the expansion of Delhi Sultanate. We have seen Delhi Sultans as well as how the sources we get to know about Delhi Sultans. Now the expansion of Delhi Sultans. Here very important two terms are there, hinterland and garrison town. Hinterland means the land adjacent to a city or port that supply it with goods and services. Means hinterland, one type of like a godown like structure. Suppose here you can see hinterland. Suppose here the land, and near about these provinces, they were supply it with goods and services to send to the other countries. Now here garrison town like a fortified settlements where the soldiers with the soldiers. So garrison town and the hinterlands, these are very important two concepts. Now, early phase of Delhi Sultanate was limited to fortified towns. First of all, we can see in 13th century, the control of Delhi Sultanate was limited to fortified towns occupied by garrisons. See, these Delhi Sultans, their control was just only to fortified towns and occupied by garrisons. Garrisons means soldiers. The sultans did not control the hinterland. Hinterland, here in the last slide we have seen hinterland means the land which is adjacent. The land which is adjacent to a city or port that supply it with goods and services. Means such as like a big godown like structure. So these Delhi Sultans, they were especially not control the hinterland, and therefore they depended upon trade, tribute or plunders for supplies. Then the third is controlling garrison town in distant regions from Delhi was difficult. Controlling garrison town from the distance region from Delhi means these Delhi Sultans especially, they were living in huge fortified settlements in Delhi itself, but from there to control to a distant means the far away regions, it was difficult, like Bengal, like Sindh, like Punjab. Mongol invasions from Afghanistan and rebellion by governors placed big challenge in front of Delhi Sultans. Mongol invasions, especially the Mongol rulers, they were many times attacking on Delhi, and that's why many times rebellion also. Strong negligence by the governors placed big challenge in front of Delhi Sultans. Number of rebellion occurred at this point of time. Means when these Delhi Sultans were there, that time many Mongol invasions were take place. The Delhi Sultanate barely survived these challenges. Many challenges means many problems were faced by these Delhi Sultans during their phase. Now, how did the expansion of Delhi Sultanate takes place? Expansion, how it expand, how Delhi became one of the huge how these Delhi Sultans, they expanded their Delhi Sultanate. See, expansion of Delhi Sultanate took place during the reign of Ghiyasuddin Balban, Alauddin Khalji and Muhammad Tughlaq. These were the capable Delhi sultans, and under the reign during their reign of these Delhi sultans such as Ghiyasuddin Balban, Alauddin Khalji and Muhammad Tughlaq, Delhi Sultanate expansion took place widely. The expansion took place along the internal and external frontier. Internal and external frontier. There were the two ways. With the help of these ways, expansion of Delhi Sultanate took place. So which were there? Internal frontier and external frontier. Internal means suppose this was the region and inside they were expanded. They were taken many of the important changes, and in that way, in internal development, with the help of that, they expanded. But how? See, aimed at consolidating the hinterland of the garrison town. Forests were cleared in the Ganga Yamuna Doab. Ganga and Yamuna rivers were meet, so that Doab, there were also especially thick forest areas they cleared, and that land they used for the cultivation, so that the produce as well as grains availability took place over there. Hunter gatherers and pastoralists especially, they were doing the animal husbandry, were expelled. Where expelled means shook away or removed from their land, and that land was brought under the cultivation. Hence what happened? Grain production increased, agricultural produce production increased in it. New fortresses as well as towns were established. So in that way, internal frontiers, these Delhi Sultans, they took and they expanded their land and their produce. Now the external frontier, military expeditions into southern India started under Alauddin Khalji and culminated with Muhammad Tughlaq. Means it started expeditions attack on into the southern part of our country, and it took the era in the Muhammad Tughlaq's era. It was continued. Sultanate armies captured elephants, horses, slaves and precious metals from these expeditions, and in that way Delhi Sultanate expansion took place. Now let's understand certain terms. Some of the terms were here you can see. Bandagan. Bandagan, it is Persian word for slave. So slave purchased military service by Delhi Sultans. So these Bandagan as well as slaves, these Gulamgiri system was prevailed that time, and these Delhi Sultans, they were purchasing slaves, Persian word Bandagan, and for what purpose these slaves they used? For the military service purpose. Many a times these Delhi Sultans, they were giving responsibility to these slaves at the higher officials. As a higher officials, they were appointing even in their courts also. Now Iqta, Khaljis and Tughlaq appointed military commanders as governors of territories of varying size according to the size of a particular areas. Khaljis and Tughlaqs, they were appointed military commanders. So these lands were called as Iqta. Iqta means the piece of land, and these piece of land under the military commanders, and they were working as a governors of territory. Now Mukti or Iqtidars. On these piece of land means Iqta, there were governors. Those governors were called as Muktis. The holder of Iqta was called as Mukti. Such as, my dear students, suppose this is a piece of land. So what is called? It called Iqta. And on these Iqta, who were there? The person or the governors. And these governors were called as Iqtidars. So in that way, see, Iqta means the piece of land. Then on the particular Iqta, there were some of the holders. Those holder of Iqta was called as Mukti or Iqtidar. Now functions of Muktis. What functions? Functions means what type of responsibilities of these Muktis or Iqtidars. So these Muktis or Iqtidars, Their responsibility lead military campaign. Whenever sultan they want military, then that time they were helping to sultans by giving their military, means military campaigns they were leading. Maintaining law and order in their iqtas, means muktis, which land they got, on that land law and order, maintaining peace, etc. It was the responsibility of that mukti. Then collected revenue from their iqtas and paid salary to their soldiers from these revenue. They were collecting revenue and paying salary also to the soldiers. So this was about mukti's functions. Now see, steps taken to ensure that muktis perform their duties. These Delhi sultans, they given the iqta under these muktis, but they were doing their jobs properly or not. For that purpose, these Delhi sultans, they taken some of the steps. So which steps that these Delhi sultans they taken to make ensure that these muktis they were doing their duties properly or not? So see here, their office was not made hereditary. Hereditary means any type of post, it is not passing from father to his son. So here mukti, this position or this post was not hereditary, means not transferring from father to his son. Then they were assigned iqtas for a short period of time before being transferred. Means there were some of the period it was appointed, and for the short period of period purpose, any mukti is getting any mukti was getting iqta for a while, and afterwards that it was the post which in which transferred system was there. Means no any mukti was enjoying permanent position on the particular land, means the post was transferable post. Accountants were appointed to check the amount of revenue collected by the muktis. Means here who were there appointed? Accountants, and these accountants they were keeping the record of revenue, so that these mukti collected how much amount these muktis were collecting, and they as well as how much amount they were paying to the Delhi Sultan. So for that reason accountants were appointed. Then next was care was taken that mukti collected only the taxes prescribed by the state, and that he kept the required number of soldiers as well as required number of soldiers. Many times in second chapter we have studied that many samantas they were collecting huge amount of revenue from the peasants, from the farmers, as well as keeping huge army, so that they were becoming more stronger even than the rulers. So here that these situation should not occur, cause of that care was taken that revenue collection was done by according to the state prescriptions, means whichever the amount was fixed by the state or the sultans, and also the number of soldiers the particular muktis were kept according to the numbers. So these were the steps to ensure that muktis perform their duties well or not, taken by Delhi sultans. Now impact of Mongol invasions. Here see Mongols, especially these they were the northeastern part of Iran, Transoxiana, old name for Central Asia, was invaded by the Mongols under Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan, he was the ruler, and he and his military expeditions many a times occurred when these Delhi Sultans, means many a times this Delhi Sultanate faced challenges of Mongol invasions. See, during the reign of Alauddin Khalji and the early reigning period of Muhammad Tughlaq, there was an increase in the attack of Delhi Sultanate. Means Alauddin Khalji, especially when his rule was there, that time many a times Alauddin Khalji faced the challenges of Mongol invasions. Consequently, they had to mobilize a last standing army in Delhi, which posed a huge administrative challenge. And cause of that, these Alauddin Khalji, Muhammad Tughlaq and other Delhi Sultans, they were keeping huge standing army, that in your times Mongol invasions will be there, and cause of that they were keeping standing, they were posing a standing huge army to face such a type of invasions. How Khalji and Tughlaq dealt with Mongol invasions. See now, Mongol invasions means without permission entering in the other states. So why these Mongols, they were entering, or they were trying to attack on Delhi Sultanate? Because of they wanted to rule, maybe they wanted to capture the territory, to take under their control, or to plunder the huge amount of wealth from Indian subcontinent. And cause of that, Mongol under the leadership of Genghis Khan, many a times they attack on Delhi Sultanate. But these Alauddin Khalji and Muhammad Tughlaq, they did many steps. Cause of that, Mongols, they were not succeeded to make the Delhi Sultanate under their control. So what type of reforms Alauddin Khalji used, and what type of reforms Muhammad Tughlaq followed? We will see. Alauddin Khalji, Delhi was attacked twice. Delhi was attacked twice by Mongols. He raised a long-standing army. Alauddin Khalji, he raised long-standing army because Mongols, they twice attack on Delhi during the Alauddin Khalji's period. We will see Muhammad Tughlaq. He raised a long-standing army and was confident about the strength of his army. Muhammad Tughlaq also did the same. Muhammad Tughlaq also raised a long-standing army, but he was having faith on his army. He was confident about the strength of his army. Second, Alauddin Khalji constructed a new garrison town named Siri for his soldier. One of the new garrison town for the soldiers, and it was Siri was constructed by Alauddin Khalji. Now, Muhammad Tughlaq. Soldiers garrisoned in the oldest of the 4 cities of Delhi named Delhi-Yakuna after emptying it of its resident. Now see, for keeping the soldiers, that purpose, what Muhammad Tughlaq did? Muhammad Tughlaq emptied the city Delhi-Yakuna. Whoever the residents of Delhi-Yakuna, he shook away to them from there, Delhi-Yakuna, and he placed over there his soldiers. The residents were sent to new capital of Daulatabad in south. In that way, what we can see, Alauddin Khalji constructed new garrison town called Siri. And Muhammad Tughlaq, what he did? He emptied Delhi Kuna. And he sent the residents of Delhi Kuna to Daulatabad. Next we can see Alauddin Khalji. Soldiers were fed using the produce collected as tax from lands between the Ganga and Yamuna Doab. Means the taxes, whatever the tax collection, on that tax collection he were feeding to the soldiers. Tax was fixed at